We're just gonna make sure. Alright, chat, we're just gonna jump right in. I'm just gonna sign in really quick. We're gonna do these. And we're good to go. How we doing, everyone? I'm just gonna get this promoted where I can. And then we're gonna talk about some Marvel movies. Right there. It has been too long. It's been too long since I've done anything. Let's see. Channel. I don't know why there's two. Why is there two? Copy. We're gonna post here. Post. Probably Discord. Expect at least someone from Discord to jump in at some point. What is that? Why does it look like that? I'm so confused. I think it's only. I gotta manage the 12. Can I just like. Let me make sure that the little output stops with playing around, but should be able. Why does it look like that? I don't get it. You will. I'm gonna figure out a way. Figure out a way to stop this. What is that? Boxes. Looks okay. That looks alright. Okay. Let's see. Where else? Where else? Do I need to toss this? That should be fine. I don't know why. I don't know why it had me do the dual output. I don't get that. I don't understand what that looks like. But it's chill. It's cool. Here's what it has to be. God, it's been that long. Wow. It's been that long. It's like that about chapter 77 Dragon Ball Z. I don't get it. What do you mean it's been 4 years? Hours there. Good lord. Vex. Alright, let's do it. Let's do this. I don't know a single person who doesn't at least somewhat enjoy Marvel movies. Or at least they've got one that they think is like somewhat okay. So for the most part here, I don't expect any of these to be like awful, but like there's a couple of them. There's a couple of them that are a little rough. You know what? I think we are gonna post this to IRLs as well. Let's just see what happens. We'll go here. Let's see how the stream looks on mobile. I'm kind of interested on that. See, it doesn't look half bad. We're just gonna move window slightly over. I think that'll look good. That should look fine. Cool. Alright, let's do it. So, as I was saying, I don't know a single person who doesn't at least somewhat enjoy Marvel movies. Or at the very least, most of them are at least semi-okay. You can find something to enjoy about them. There's only like maybe 2 on this list that I think have almost 0 redeeming qualities, just in general. So that's kind of what we're looking at here, at least in terms of Marvel movies. That most of these are mid, and mid is fine. Some of these are great, obviously. Some of them are just good, but we'll kind of walk our way through it. But we're just going to start phase 1. We'll just work our way through, starting with Iron Man. So the history with Iron Man, with this movie in general, it almost mimics Final Fantasy, in that this is kind of Marvel's just whatever, of like, just throw it at the wall, and if it works, it works. I don't think they knew just how much it was going to work. If we pull out Google here for a split second, right? This movie obviously did very well. For what it's worth, Iron Man 2008 by Jon Favreau. We look, right? Was it a budget of $140 million? And it walks away. No, that's not right. That's not the page I want. Iron Man 2008. Give me what I'm looking for. Wiki. Here we go. So if we go here, right? We go into that 2008 movie. We have a budget of 140. Makes $500 million. For those of you who don't know, that is a resounding success. Very nicely done, right? So that's good. That's good. And then they go kind of do their thing after, right? Obviously sets up the Avengers, kind of lays that groundwork for this is the type of universe that we want to go for. That's what Iron Man is. That's what Iron Man is. Iron Man does that well. Iron Man does that very well. And that's a good thing. For all intents and purposes. Is it a perfect movie? Nah. But what they do right, they do really right. What they do right, they do so spectacularly right. Iron Man gets compared for a lot of things. When you're talking about setting up a universe, Iron Man probably is the best way to do it. You're not throwing too much at the screen at any given point, nor are you really focused on setting up future movies. This is Iron Man's story, and it does well. And it does well to set up Iron Man. And then only at the very end does it start talking about, you know, the Avengers and bringing in Nick Fury and this, that, and the other. There's little sprinklings of stuff that they show but don't tell. So they go and kind of drop those throughout the movie. So Iron Man does a really good job at that. Obviously, it's been tucked to death, so we're not going to talk about it too much, though, and that's the performance from Robert Downey Jr. And Robert Downey Jr. is absolutely perfect at what he does. Absolutely phenomenally perfect. This movie is okay. This movie is alright. But that stellar performance from Robert Downey Jr., I think, is what totally sells this movie. And that's what makes it so well done, specifically, is that. Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, he has that lead energy. And that lead energy really helps move this movie into territory to be able to keep things going. People want to see more Robert Downey Jr. And so, when they start talking about the Avengers, like, oh, they intend to keep this going should it do well. And so, that's the good stuff. But I think I want to talk about Tony's arc as well. And Tony's kind of journey in this movie is so relevant still. Tony's journey through his character and who he wants to be, and how he kind of takes this all on, as he's learning about what his company is doing, really helps to solidify the message of this movie. That's why the ending hits so hard, is because we've seen what Tony was, what he becomes, which is ultimately eventually Iron Man. I love this movie. There is no other place to put this thing. It was going to be here. It was absolutely going to be in the I Love You category. Is it perfect? No. There's very, very light critiques of the movie itself. I think it can kind of drag from time to time, but Iron Man does the cinematic universe introduction the best. It is the blueprint. It works. It's the best that's done it from here, right? I don't think Superman is as good as Iron Man in terms of setting up the universe. But I think in terms of a movie, uh, Superman kind of has it outclassed ish. But they're so different still that it's hard. But I think in terms of just setting up the universe, Iron Man does very well. Incredible Hulk. What a place to debut Abomination. And I say that half lovingly because I think this movie's still interesting. I think that's the best way to describe it. I think this movie's interesting in that it's not bad per se. It's certainly not as bad as some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about, especially in this kind of range here, especially later. But the Incredible Hulk still is trying to kind of sell the universe, right? The Incredible Hulk is still trying to bring this universe to, okay, we're gonna keep this kind of going, right? This movie visually looks spectacular. The story leaves a little to be desired. I think it's weak, but it's not bad. Weaker, I should say. It's weaker than Iron Man for sure, but I don't think it's bad. I can't sit here and tell you that The Incredible Hulk is a bad movie, just because it's not. It's not a bad movie by any stretch. There's nothing about it that is so abysmal that I could put it anywhere to it's a movie. I don't know if it's pretty good either. It's bouncing around the 2, to be honest. Third tier, that's kind of where I'm thinking. Sky at 69. I'm kind of with you there. I think it's pretty good. The Incredible Hulk does a lot of things really well. I think aside from the Avengers, which we'll talk about, I think it's the best thing it does. It's the best thing the Hulk's in. I think they make Hulk really interesting. I think they make Bruce really interesting in this movie. I think you're right. I think third tier is where we're gonna drop that. But the Incredible Hulk I think is underloved. I think there's a lot of love to be found with the Incredible Hulk, especially looking back, especially looking at some of the other stuff in here. I can settle on pretty good. Iron Man 2. If we want to talk about what I first watched in the MCU, it would be Iron Man 2. So there is a certain nostalgia factor with it for me personally that I think I enjoy Iron Man 2 for what it is. I think you want to know the big thing that gets me for this movie? It's the freaking suits. I like the suits in this movie. I like that triangle, the unibeam, the arc reactor. I like the triangle one a lot. I think the triangle really works for it. Personally, I like that suit an awful lot. I think Whiplash is so misused in this movie. Straight up. I think Whiplash is so full of potential. I agree with that too. Iron Man 2 does have some pretty good moments. I think it's hard with this movie specifically because you're and you know, this is our first real big kind of cast shift, right? Is that Don Cheadle takes on the role of Rhodey. And I think Don Cheadle does a really good job as Rhodey. And Iron Man 2, for what it's worth, has a lot of good moments that don't stitch together well. And I think that's where it falls. Is you've got A, B, C moments, right? You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 really okay moments of we can. You've got Tony on trial, and I think that goes well. You've got that conflict with Rhodey, who's trying to be his friend, but also needs to uphold who he is in the military. And that makes sense too. So it's definitely it, Iron Man 2 has a lot that needs improvement. I think the I think it's a movie. I think it's a movie. I settle there. It's not what's kind of going. It's not what's going on here. It does enough for Tony, especially with very 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 light implications of things like Demon in a Bottle. I think the way that it tackles alcoholism is you can move one way or the other on how it kind of runs with Tony. Um, but then you've got really good scenes like when Tony, I think it was Iron Man 2. Tony sees the video of his dad. I think that scene's really well done. I think that scene's really well put together, and I think it's a really good emotional climax of the movie. I don't know if it's deserved. I don't know if Iron Man 2 does enough to bring that scene specifically. If you want to talk about an emotional climax with Tony and his dad, Endgame does it better. But Iron Man 2 does it well enough to where I'm not I'm not upset about it. Iron Man 2 had pretty good moments, yeah. Yeah, Whiplash is so underused. Agreed, right? Like Whiplash could be so much fun. And they do moments to kind of show like, oh, this could be really cool when you've got the electricity and the suit and Iron Man's power, right? You like there's some good stuff to be had with it, right? The other issue though is I don't think they play well enough with this being yet another consequence of Tony's dad, about his legacy. I think when you're trying to make a Iron Man movie in that regard, and that's a good tier 4. I agree. Like, and that's how I kind of feel on that, right? Is if it does enough to feel coherent to a degree. It doesn't quite do enough to make it pretty good or anything like that. I don't think it's as well stitched together as the Incredible Hulk, and it's certainly not to the same level of Iron Man, which is just a great movie all around. But I think Iron Man 2 is just overhated. I think that's where I land with it. It's overhated. What's up? Hi, King Matthew III. Welcome. You've made it to the beginning of the tier list. We've got Iron Man, right below the best of the best. We've got the Incredible Hulk, right here and pretty good. I'm just kind of wrapping up my thoughts on Iron Man 2, and that's about where we're at. I think we're gonna talk about Thor here, because Thor 4. I think this is the second best Thor movie, which, you know, I mean, you've got two really awful ones. I like it more than Ragnarok. No, I don't. Actually, I said that wrong. I don't like it more than Ragnarok, but I think I've got my issues with Ragnarok. We're just gonna take this first Thor movie for what it is. For Thor, it's a movie behind Iron Man 2, at least for me. So I'm conflicted on it, right? Because on one hand, I don't know about it being in a separate tier than Iron Man 2. I do agree with you there with Thor being behind Iron Man 2. But in the same tier. Pretty underrated in my opinion. I really enjoyed Thor 1 in the same tier as Iron Man in my opinion. Oh! It's a really good origin movie, and I think it's overhated because of its sequel. So that's... Actually, I think you guys are absolutely correct. So Sky out of 69, I think you're absolutely correct. I think with Thor specifically, as an origin movie, it is so much fun. I think Thor does the best job out of the origin movies in setting up an arc. letting Thor grow and be and kind of realize who he is, right? Um, and we're gonna watch and watching that journey specifically. I think it does really well. I think with Thor and the way he is and the way that he's written, he he has a lot to learn, and so with that, we get to kind of watch him. We get to watch him do that. And so with that, with the origin specifically, if you're taking Thor exactly for what it is, that first movie specifically, and only that one, that Hawkeye cameo deserves to be in that tier. I agree. That's good. But I think Thor does well. I think Thor does well with that. I like this idea of Thor being on Earth, and that's how he learns to become um worthy again, is through Earth and what Earth has to offer. And so with that, and obviously kind of leads into the Avengers, kind of helps kind of make him who he is, so that when he goes and he's being the holier than thou kind of guy he is in Avengers for that part. We'll get into his, because I've got a lot to talk about with the first Avengers, but with this movie specifically, I think as an origin movie, I think it's the best of the best. I thoroughly think it's a great origin movie, and it does really well setting up Asgard. It does really well at setting up Loki. I think it excels in setting up their dynamic, and if the Avengers wouldn't be nearly as good if we didn't have this really well thought out setup for him and for Thor and Loki. And I think that's why Thor and Loki is such an interesting dynamic, is that all of these movies tend to have in common that Thor and Loki tend to carry it. That dynamic really works. And I think that's mainly because the casting is so well thought out and so well done. Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston do a really good job at playing the brotherly dynamic of two different worlds being forced together. Right. I think as a origin movie specifically, as just Thor, I'm putting it in pretty good. I don't think it's in the same tier as Iron Man, but it is so close. It's close. It's really close to the I Love You category. This movie is so criminally underrated. It has no reason to be as hated as it is. Thor: The Dark World, absolutely. Thor: The Dark World is one of those ones that I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it because that movie's been ripped to death. But I think Thor 1, people forget how good Thor 1 is. Thor 1 deserves a rewatch and take it on its own level, because it is its own level. It's that good. Captain America and the First Avenger is complicated. I'm complicated about it. I have different feelings every time I watch this movie. I feel different things every single time I watch Captain America. Because I'll find another thing that I like, and I'll find another thing that I didn't quite think stuck the landing. So we're gonna start with the things that stuck the landing. For me, Captain America is more relatable and nostalgic for me. It's my first movie which introduced me to the MCU. See, and that's where I was at with Iron Man 2. I'm not gonna sit here and tell. It probably would be a what's going on here movie if I didn't feel something about it being the first MCU movie I watched. I'll always have a soft spot for my first MCU movie. Because I watched Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and stuff like that before I really started watching Thor and stuff like that. So I absolutely get it for it being more relatable and more nostalgic because it's your first movie. You're not gonna forget your first Marvel movie because it's gonna be that one that kind of drops you and goes, So this is what it's about. You go in there, it's like, okay, I see I see what's going on. Captain America First Avenger is probably low tier. It was kind of boring to me. I enjoyed Captain America Winter Soldier way more, and I agree with that. I think I'm not gonna sit here and try and I'm not gonna sit here and try and tell you that the Winter Soldier is worse than the First Avenger, because it's not. It's not, like, just straight up. The Winter Soldier is, there's so much to love about that specific movie. Um, Hugo Weaving was great as Red Skull, though, absolutely, and I think he's a real highlight. I think all the castings in Captain America, there is not a single bad casting in there. I think Chris Evans, both as pre-Captain America and post-Captain America, in that kind of transformation, I think he pulls off both very well. I think this movie does a great job of showing a skinny Chris Evans, which he was not when it was filmed. So that's always a little interesting bit there, I think, personally. Red Skull is a great addition. I think Peggy Carter as a love interest is one of the most is interesting in this movie. Actually, let me make sure I got there. But as we compare it with its sequels, then yeah, it's not even close to them. Absolutely. I mean, there's no question on that. It is the Winter Soldier is just phenomenal. The hand-to-hand combat scenes, absolutely. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, and that's probably gonna be about a 15-minute gush about everything that movie has to offer. But the first Avenger alone, the introduction of the Tesseract and stuff like that, I think this is the best movie before the Avengers, and that's not even counting. It's probably my favorite, one of my favorite post-credit scenes too. I like that idea of that first thing that Captain America really figures out is what's going on here. Or not even that, he goes and says, like, I had a date, right? I like that. I like that a lot. But it also really subtly shows where S.H.I.E.L.D. lies in this entire thing, especially when they're talking to Steve, about, like, we want to kind of sell you in. I don't think the MCU does an entirely great job of making Steve, post this movie, a fish out of water, as he should be. He should be, by all intents and purposes, the guy that does not have a place, because he has been thrusted 80 years into the future. His last memory was from World War II. So it sets it up opening, and he sees Times Square and nothing's making any sense. And then in the Avengers, it's just, I've got my feelings with Cap there. But this one here specifically, don't know. I don't know if it's going on. I think it's a movie. I think it's a movie. There's I think it's the same with Iron Man 2, halfway stitched together. But what it does well, it does really well. What it does well, it does phenomenally well. I wish we got a little more Red Skull. That's probably my one really big critique. I think, as you said, King Matthew, Hugo Weaving as Red Skull is really good. Hugo Weaving as Red Skull is fantastic. However, I just wish we had a little more of him. And Endgame does it, but not in quite the way that I want it. I'd like to see him as the Nazi. I'd like to see him as Red Skull. Enough about that. Let's talk about the Avengers. Let's talk about the Avengers, because I think besides the Guardians movies, it is the most unapologetic comic book movie, I think it's proud to be a comic book movie. Because there are things in this movie, it's bright, it's effective, the way they write the script. Joss Whedon is a terrible human being. Just straight up. But that man knows the sauce. He is so... I adore this movie. I adore Avengers 1 because it's so unapologetic about what it is. All of them have lines. They all have their moment in the glory. The way that they banter feels like it's ripped straight out of the pages. It's a TV drama written as a superhero book. And I love it. As a comic book in general. This movie does so well. Avengers 1 is great. It's the last Avengers movie where they really showcase Hulk really well, and I like the build-up of the team as well. And King Mass Effect is absolutely what I want to talk about. Because I want to talk about Hulk first. Because the way that they make Hulk in this movie is so fun and so interesting. Because it doesn't have to be ha-ha Hulk fun. It doesn't have to be that way. So when you've got Bruce out there who does not want to transform, when he says that he tried to put a bullet in his brain and the big man spit it out, that is interesting. That's so interesting. There's nothing in this entire cinematic universe that does Hulk better. This is the best that we ever get of Hulk. Is this movie right here. This is pitch perfect Hulk. This is pitch perfect Banner. This is it. Like, if you wanted the gold standard for how Hulk should be, Joss Whedon figured it out. This movie is spectacular. You want to talk about good Thor? You want to talk about good Thor? It's this movie too. Like, you want the biggest hot take I'm going to give you today? It's going to be that. It's going to be that Thor is the best in this movie. Like, Hulk and Thor peak right here. This is the best we get of the both of them. Is it the best of Cap? No, because the Winter Soldier exists. Is it the best we get of Iron Man? No, because Infinity War exists. No. This is the best. This is the best that both those characters get. And I, like, when they go onto screen, they take it, right? If you needed to convince me that Mark Ruffalo was not miscast, this movie is what proved it to me. This is also the first movie, this is the first MCU movie I saw in theaters as well. So this is also very nostalgic for me, for Avengers, because this is what sold. Like, this is what sold me of enjoying superheroes, was that movie right there. Or just the Avengers that wasn't, or like superhero movies that weren't Spider-Man, right? This movie was it. Like, I like the way it's filmed. I like the way that they all talk to each other. I think the build up to the team, they earn this moment. They earn that shot of them all finally assembling. Like, they earn it in this movie because it goes and it goes and it goes of they just cannot seem to click, right? And then Coulson gets shot. Agent Coulson gets shot, right? And then it's Tony and Cap and Nick Fury. And Nick Fury goes and he gives his speech. And he gives the speech of we want to see this work. We want to see this work because you guys have it, we don't. So you guys got figure this out, right? And so I think that's what makes this movie so spectacular, is that part, is the human dynamic between them all, of they cannot get it together. They're about one really bad insult away from beating the ever-loving Christ out of each other. I adore this movie. Like, I could talk for hours about how good the first Avengers movie truly is. Like, I feel no shame in putting this in the best of the best. I love this movie. Like I said, it's so unapologetic about being a comic book movie. It is so okay with it, and it oozes in every single scene. Every single scene in Avengers 1 is a love letter to these characters, to superhero movies. It builds and it climaxes everything that first post-credit scene in Iron Man does. It is a really nice build-up of Act 1 of the MCU, and it works. It works. My only kind of criticisms with it, I wish Black Widow had a little more to do. I wish that, you know, she had a little more time. Same with Hawkeye. I wish they kind of had a little bit more of things kind of going on to really flesh out their characters. And we'll talk a little bit more about them too specifically as we kind of work our way through Phase 3, because they needed some help as well, just kind of in general with all the phases. But that's not to say that they were bad in this movie. But obviously the Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, they kind of got a little more to do. And that's fine. Like I said, just give me maybe like 15 more minutes of Hawkeye and Black Widow figuring everything else out, and that'll work. Iron Man 3. I like Brian Tyler's score for this movie. I like Robert Downey Jr. when he acts in this movie. I don't know if I like this movie very much. I think Iron Man 3 needs... I don't even want to say it needs help. I think Iron Man 3 is probably better than Iron Man 2 in my opinion. Just the way they showcased Tony's PTSD was really well. I also really enjoyed Mandarin as the villain. So, I like the Mandarin as a villain. I don't know if it works thematically as well as it probably should. I like the last 15 minutes of this movie with Tony's monologue and Tony kind of, you know, wrapping it up pretty nicely. I think it also gives a really good arc for Tony, with him really trying to kind of come to terms with the fact that he's still got shrapnel in his heart and that type of thing. I think this movie really challenges Tony for who he is, what he is. I think it's really interesting. I don't quite know if Iron Man 3 is totally not stitched together. I've said that a lot. But it's also been a while since I've watched this one. It's been a while since I've watched Iron Man 3. I really like his, let's see what I remember. I liked his, what am I thinking of? I really liked his scene with the kid. His scene with the kid, I think, is really nicely done. I think it also really helps that it kind of, in a very roundabout way, it pays off in Civil War when he's talking to Peter. I think it does pay off in that regard, that Tony can work with kids. Tony can do that. I think as a climax for, I think as compared to the other two Iron Man. I don't think it's at the level of Iron Man 1. I do think it is better than Iron Man 2. If I were to put it anywhere, I think I would put it at pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Iron Man 3's got a lot going for it. I think Brian Tyler's score as well, and I'm gonna say that again. His score is really good. His score is phenomenal. I like that theme for Iron Man. Yeah, I think pretty good. A good place for Iron Man 3. It's not Iron Man 1 level, but I do think it's written better. I like the villain more in Iron Man 3. I like Tony's journey more in Iron Man 3. I think I'm with you there. I think that showcase for Tony's PTSD I think does really important things for Tony that really help to build him through the rest of his time in the MCU. I think that does that. That's how I feel anyway. I think Iron Man 3 really helps kind of bring Tony to his plateau so that he can kind of ride through it. Not plateau, but like you get Tony to where he should be, so that way we can start kind of tearing him down a little bit in these kind of movies to come. Let's get him to that emotional climax, and then we'll go and start kind of breaking him down again. Like let's kind of keep that going. I think pretty good where it should be. Like I said, it's not Iron Man 1. It's not Iron Man 2 though. Thor: The Dark World. Yeah. I think this is fair. I think this is fair. It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. I don't like Thor: The Dark World. I don't know much people who do. Is it like the worst ever? Nah, because we got some real stinkers to talk about. But Thor: The Dark World's rough around the edges, which really sucks too. Because if you just played it, because Thor's really got an easy story, right? Especially with that brother dynamic, it should not be hard to make a Thor movie interesting. And yet somehow they do it twice. They somehow make Thor boring twice. And that's weird to me. I don't know how you do that. That is a straight talent. Thor: The Dark World is almost everything wrong with this first part of the MCU pre-Endgame. Thor: The Dark World really struggles to captivate. It's boring. It looks rough. It's so gray. This movie's gray. In the worst way possible. This movie's rough. Like I don't. Like I said, there's so much people that have talked about why Thor: The Dark World is not great that I don't think that me rehashing anything like that's gonna do any good. Yeah, no, I don't enjoy talking about Thor: The Dark World. It's also the only one where I fell asleep and had to rewatch it because I fell asleep. It took me 2 rounds to try and get that movie done. Captain America and the Winter Soldier. It's got to be up there. Like it has to be up there. There's no other case for it. There's nothing else that you could possibly do. There's no other tier that describes what this movie is. This movie deserves to be at the top. This movie deserves to be at the top. Thor, like, if you're gonna talk about the worst of the worst with Thor: The Dark World, Captain America and the Winter Soldier is the absolute best of the MCU. This is the MCU at its peak. This is everything a superhero movie should be. It challenges Steve in a multitude of ways, emotionally, uh, philosophically, mentally. Steve goes through a lot in this movie. Steve goes through so much in this movie. Like, there is so much to talk about with just how good it is, and that's not even getting started on Bucky and Bucky's journey, and Nick Fury. I think taking Nick Fury out of the picture, like I said, just challenging Steve at every front is the best thing that you could do for this movie. This really works. I am thrilled to talk about everything good about Captain America. Like there's a good stuff. I think Black Widow is a sleeper hit in this movie. I really like Scarlett Johansson's portrayal of Black Widow in this movie specifically. She does well. I like the idea of Hydra and how they play off that. But Bucky is the star of this movie. Let it be known, Bucky is the star of Thor, or not Thor: The Dark World. I don't know why I keep saying it. Of the Winter Soldier. Cap 2 is what we're gonna call it. Bucky is such a perfect introduction. I enjoy the introduction of Falcon. He's probably one of my favorites of Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I think he's also really slept on. I'm of the opinion that the only person that made sense to take Captain America once Steve retired was the Falcon. I think Bucky is really good at being this connective force. And once we talk about Thunderbolts, we'll jump into that as well, because Bucky's probably got one, like, he's got to be like top 3 in terms of journeys in the MCU. Bucky has so much going on, and it's one of the only times I think the MCU takes full advantage of who he is, what he's got. But since you brought it up, yeah, let's talk about Falcon. Let's talk about Falcon in this movie, because I'm with you. I like his introduction a lot here. I like him as Sam Wilson. I'm gonna try to talk about it without talking about any of his other projects that Falcon kind of shows up in, because obviously there's things to talk about with Brave New World, right? There's elements to talk about, but I think him being inspired by Steve and that opening scene with the both of them, I really like that. I think I can't remember them. Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson brings a lot of charm. I think he brings a lot of charm. I think he brings a new face to Captain America that does really well. I adore this movie. I like the little bits of action we do get from the Falcon in this movie. I think are spectacularly done. I think it's the best in terms of the flying action scenes that we do get from the Falcon is in this movie as well. I've got my opinions on the Russo brothers, and we'll talk about the Russo brothers when we get into the other some of these other movies, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. We'll talk about both. We'll talk about the Russo brothers' directing style and how they kind of approach that. But I think right here is their best. I think right here with the oh my god, I should have brought water. I think right here with the hand-to-hand combat scenes are so well done. I mean everyone's talked about how good the cinematography is. It's just a pretty movie to look at. This in on top of very well choreographed action sequences. There is so much good stuff in this movie. I really don't know if I have anything to really critique it. I don't really know. I don't know if I have any critiques. If I guess if any critiques of The Winter Soldier, let me know. But I really can't think of anything. Like everything about this movie is so well done. It's so well done. I could go on for an extended period of time about this movie, about just how good it is, about how much these characters get to do, how much Steve's worldview is challenged. When we talk about something like Civil War, that's good. Like Iron Man 3 and The Winter Soldier are very similar in terms of what they want to do with these characters and try to really challenge them. Here's where you think you are, here's where you actually are, what are you going to do about it? And that's all going to come to a head in Civil War. But this is so good. It's probably got some of the most rewatchability as well. The Winter Soldier, I think it's got a lot of rewatchability as well. I could put that movie on at any point. It's great. Guardians 1. Guardians 1, when I was in my first year of college, they had me watch this again, and I hadn't watched the first one in years. And there's so many good elements to Guardians of the Galaxy. There's a lot of really good elements in general on that, right? I think so let's talk about the soundtrack first, because that's the easiest one to give. This soundtrack is spectacular. Guardians 1's music's so good. All the Guardians music's good. I'm not gonna bring up the music again for these movies, because they're all great. James Gunn's got a phenomenal playlist. His playlist is really solid. They do well there. So that's part one, right? The music's fantastic. But let's talk about the family element, because it really does do something that none of these guys really do, and that is found family. The Avengers really aren't found family. Not yet, anyway. Not before Guardians. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is probably the same tier as Iron Man 1. It was so good. I really enjoyed Drax the most out of the film. He's probably one of my favorite characters in the Guardians. And you know what? You can make a case for any of them being your favorite character. I am so serious. You can make a case for any of the Guardians being your favorite character. And I couldn't tell you otherwise. Like, just straight up. Like, they're so well written and so deep and so developed, right? Even in this first movie, and I think that's where Guardians kind of overtakes Avengers in that regard. Is they do really well with this pretty sizable main cast. You've got 5 people in there. You've got Drax, and you've got Gamora, you've got Peter Quill. We also get another glimpse of Thanos in Guardians 1, more than how he showed up in the post-credits scene of Avengers 1. I forgot to talk about that. Okay, let's backtrack for a second. Actually, we're not gonna backtrack per se, but yeah, let's talk about Thanos. Let's talk about Thanos we'll start with his appearance in Avengers. I'm going to give my quick spiel on that, and then we can talk about Guardians. Let's talk about Thanos for a little bit. He is so good in these movies. These little glimpses that we get are so good in terms of just building, of knowing where we're gonna go, right? If the MCU did one thing really, really, really badly after Endgame, it's not solidifying that final threat. That is what makes Thanos so good, is because we know he's coming. We know he's gonna be there. We know that he's going to show up. So when he's sitting there for 15 seconds in Avengers, and he's sitting there for another 15 seconds in Guardians, and that's perfect, right? That's absolutely perfect. Let's build him. Let's get audiences excited to see him. Who is this guy with the glowy eyes who's got a gauntlet and says he's gonna do it himself? I'm telling you, it's so good. It's so good. And Guardians plays on it, right? Guardians does so well with it. We're going to bring another glimpse of this celestial threat. It's so good. It's so good. So Thanos, I'm so with you there. I think Peter Quill's journey from Space Bandit to leader of the Guardians is really interesting. I like that Peter Quill's a little silly and so full of himself. You are not gonna think that this guy's a leader of anything, right? So when Peter Quill is kind of thrust in with all this kind of responsibility of trying to get this ragtag team of criminals to become something a little more than that, you can see that he's not built for it. He's not built for that. So you go in with Peter to kind of bring out that scope. Let's bring him to where you can feasibly see him as a leader. And so with that, I think that's interesting. Him and Gamora is a really good dynamic in this movie. Rocket and Groot, and I think Groot being that emotional climax, this emotional crux for the movie. I think that does really well. I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds. I had to make sure my door was closed there. Make sure my cat doesn't get in. That way she can use the restroom and stuff like that. So, this kind of found dynamic. I think Guardians does a really good job at getting you to feel like it's a kind of a realistic found family. These guys are a bunch of tattered personalities that's put in a situation that's gonna force them to be together, and that works so well. It works so well. That's my feelings on Guardians. Guardians is a great movie. Great movie. Absolutely wonderful. Avengers: Age of Ultron. I want to make sure I just read all the comments there for Guardians. Guardians 1, same year as Iron Man 1, absolutely. So good, I enjoyed Drax the most. Actually, do I have more to talk about with Drax? Not yet. I don't think I've got enough to talk about with Drax yet. Give us some time. I saw a hot take maybe let's say maybe 2 months ago, saw a hot take that was saying that Avengers Age of Ultron is actually what they said. What they said in this hot take was that they said that the first Avengers is the weakest. And I'm here to tell you that is absolutely 100% not the case. And the only reason you're saying that is because you have not watched Avengers Age of Ultron since it was in theaters, since you were a child. Like, this is not a good movie. There are elements of it. Joss Whedon does it again with the dialogue, but man, this story is rough. Like, this story is not fun. This movie needs a lot of help. A ton of help. The Avengers Age of Ultron is... It's got diamonds in the rough, and that's about the extent of it. In that, when those diamonds are there, the diamonds are very nice, and they're very pretty. But you're going through about 2 hours worth of dumpster to get those. Ultron is so misutilized in this film. It needs so much help. It needs so much help. I think Ultron's an interesting villain, so when you're sitting there and you make him kind of boring, it doesn't go well. It doesn't work. Is it worse than Thor: The Dark World? No, but it's more of a what's going on. Well, I don't understand this movie. I don't understand how people like this movie, because there's so much wrong with it. It brings in Quicksilver. Quicksilver dies. It brings in Scarlet Witch, and Scarlet Witch, by all intents and purposes, is a fun character. Just not in this movie. She is not interesting in Age of Ultron. People who like Wanda don't bring up examples from this film. They bring her up from Civil War. They bring her up from Infinity War. They bring her up from Endgame. They bring her up from Multiverse of Madness. They bring her up from WandaVision. But no one brings in anything from Avengers Age of Ultron that says that she is the interesting element there. She's not. She's not interesting. The fact they kept her around after this film is astounding, because it should have never happened. Ant-Man's an interesting case, because I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's great. I think it's good, but I don't know if it's pretty good. I think Ant-Man is fine here. The reason I think that Ant-Man is fine there is because Paul Rudd's funny, and Paul Rudd's fun, and Scott Lang is fun. But man, oh man, it's tough. It's tough to sit there with Ant-Man and think, this is tough. Like, this is a good movie. Because it's not. It's really not. It's so okay. It's such an okay movie. Like, Ant-Man and the Wasp is one of those, or not Ant-Man and the Wasp, just Ant-Man. Ant-Man's one of those that it's a good time, but I'm not watching it because I want to watch a good story. You know, I'm sitting there because there's some funny jokes in there every once in a while. I want to laugh today. That's my impressions on Ant-Man. Luis Peña's fun in this movie. Paul Rudd's fun in this movie. I think it could have utilized its time a little better to build more of a character arc for Scott Lang. Let Hank Pym think that this guy's just a bum. Like, let that be a real clash. So that's how I feel about Ant-Man, honestly. It's not bad, it's not good. It's a movie. It's alright. Civil War. This one hurts to put low-ish, about halfway. Or the lower tier, the start of the lower tier. It's a movie. It's okay. So much happens in this movie with not a terrible lot of substance. There's not a lot to really dissect with Civil War. Like, it's fun to look at, and it's fun to see, because you see there's like, there's Spider-Man, and oh man, Tony and Cap are not happy, and this, that, and the other, but it feels a little too surface level, right? Which really sucks, because the things that they tried to do with Civil War is so good. It's so much potential. Bucky being the assassin that kills Tony's parents. I think there's good stuff there. That's a really good concept. On execution, I don't know if the Russo brothers really stuck the landing with it. And that's, like I said, it's not to say that it's bad per se. I think there's just a lot going on that it didn't really make it. It didn't really make it the way it needed to. That's how I feel for Civil War in that regard. Is, oh well, that was really cool. I just kind of wish you expanded on it. Oh well, that was really cool, but I wish you kind of expanded on it. I sat through there for that movie quite often. I sat there going, I don't know if that was quite right. But it also gives us one of the best Spider-Man moments, especially with him trying to talk to Iron Man. And I think this is the only movie that really finds that balance with Peter and Tony of, yeah, we have superheroes established in this world. But Peter's still Peter. Peter is still very much the, I need to do things. I need to do these things that I do with my powers because I have to. And so I think that's so interesting that you can sit there with Peter and do that and then just kind of fumble it in these other movies. But right here, excuse me, but right here specifically is where you can go and, hope I didn't kill my thing. Previews disabled in performance mode. I see. That's better. Okay. But that's kind of how I feel with it, right? Is that these, let my cat in again. I think this was so interesting about something like Civil War, is that it tackles Peter, and it starts building on Wanda, and it starts building on it climaxes the tension between Iron Man and Cap, of two very differing philosophies from two people and from completely different times with completely different personalities, and you figure out what you're going to do with it. So that's how I feel anyway. When it comes to Civil War, is there's a lot of potential it just does not live up to. Doctor Strange. If this tier is named pretty good, this movie is just pretty good. Um, I think with Doctor Strange, I think Benedict Cumberbatch is a great actor to portray Stephen Strange. I think he does well there. The visual effects are stunning, as one expects from Doctor Strange. It's visually very appealing. I think the Michael Giacchino, I think is the name. I think that's his name. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he also did the soundtrack for Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four. His soundtrack's really good. His soundtrack is fantastic there. I also like The Journey. I like this origin story that we go with Stephen Strange. Stephen Strange is very well written in this movie. Villain's a little rough. Wish we saw a little more of Dormammu and why Dormammu is a real big threat. But that's okay. That's all right. Nothing wrong with that. But that's kind of, it's not a bad movie by any stretch. Like I said, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think there's a solid chance we're just going to go to Endgame, and then we'll talk about the rest after. We'll talk about the rest another stream. So, Guardians Volume 2 is... I haven't seen that one enough. I've watched Volume 2 twice. You guys are going to see my cat for a while. I think... I almost want to put it in not watched yet, because I don't quite know my feelings. I know some of it. Like Ego, I think, is really interesting. I think he's a weak villain, but interesting for Peter specifically. Oh, we're gonna do this now. So that's part of it. Is I think Ego's an interesting villain. I think Ego works really well for kind of this foil to Peter, right? Someone who is willing to give up his family, where Peter's not. Peter's not willing to give that up, and so that works out really well. I think. I think with him specifically, I think the rest of the Guardians just need a little more to do. But in terms of Peter's movie, this works really well. The soundtrack obviously is great. Visuals are awesome. Groot needed a little more to do as well. Groot was there. Groot was there to sell toys. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just kind of wish we had a little more with him. So I think I'm gonna keep it a not watched yet, because I don't know where I would throw it in there. I would need one more rewatch, I think, to really figure out where I'd want to put it. This one's easy though. I love this movie. I think this is a great Spider-Man movie. I don't care what High Top says. This is a good Spider-Man movie. This is a good Spider-Man movie, and there's a lot of critiques that gets its way. But man, Homecoming's so good. Homecoming is so good because of how much it explores what Peter wants. And it explores consequences of what Peter wants. I like how much consequences are in this movie. Peter wants to prove himself as an Avenger, but he can't, and there's consequences to that. Peter figures out that he needs to be Spider-Man, and there's consequences to that. He can't be with the girl he likes. He can't tell the girl he likes that he's Spider-Man. That's good stuff. it's visually, it is the most okay visual movie probably in this list. It looks alright. It looks okay. But like, in terms of how it looks, like with the example in the truck, right? Where Peter and Vulture are kind of, or not even snuffing each other out. Peter knows what the Vulture doesn't. And the Vulture doesn't know what Peter knows. And as the lights keep going, as they're going back and forth, and you're just in this tension of Peter knows that the Vulture is in the car with them. But the Vulture doesn't know that Spider-Man's in the car with him until he does. And visually it's so tense of just, is he gonna figure this out? Right? Is he gonna figure out that the guy that the kid that keeps trying to foil his plans is about to go to prom with his daughter? That's good. I like that. I like that dynamic. I like the fact that Peter still saves this guy. I like that a lot. It also makes when he wants to kill Green Goblin hit that much harder because MCU Spider-Man really, really, really wants to save people if he can. So the fact that he will go and say, yeah, no, I want this guy dead, hits so much harder in No Way Home because Homecoming sets that up for Peter. He's not vengeance. He's not wanting to be vengeance like in The Amazing Spider-Man. No, this Peter's a good soul that wants to do the right thing. Even though he and Vulture have been clashing this entire movie, he still grabs him out of the fire, still saves him. And it pays off in that end credit where Scorpion, or no, was it Shocker? I forget which mainline Spider-Man villain was in that one. But it pays off when he's like, I don't know him. Or if I knew him, he'd be dead. I think it's what he says. Homecoming's great. As a Spider-Man movie and as a movie. Homecoming is fantastic. I love that movie. I think it does really well. I like this origin story. I don't like that they drag the origin story. But this is good. This is a good movie. This is a good movie. I love this movie. Thor Ragnarok needs some help. Because what it does well, it does exceedingly well at. But what it lacks, it really lacks. And what it really lacks is some tension. We're going to put these down. We're going to hold this like an actual mic. Thor Ragnarok, for all intents and purposes, for everything that it's got going on for it, for everything that it could do, it does well. For everything that's not tension, there is at no point that I don't think Thor is going to pull out of this alive. Nor am I ever thinking in this movie that Loki's not going to make it out. And that's interesting to me because they lose Asgard. So it should be, by all intents and purposes, it should have some tension, but it really doesn't. The only time this movie has tension is the last 30 seconds of the end credit scene. And maybe that was the point, just to make it kind of shocking, but like, I don't know, man. I don't think it does it very well. But it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Aside from lack of tension, if we're only going based on its qualities, I would put it in pretty good. if we're talking about tension throughout the movie, it's what's going on here. There's too much funny. I think Thor Ragnarok has too much funny. It's too funny, and especially when I really like the first Thor movie because he's this, Shakespearean god who's kind of a fish out of water. So you put him as a fish out of water, but instead of being this Shakespearean god, oh well, now he's just a character from Step Brothers. Well, there you go. And then Thor: Love and Thunder does the same friggin' thing, except now it's not fun. Well, would you look at that? Now Thor: Love and Thunder has everything that was lacking in Thor Ragnarok, except now it also took all the good stuff. Would you look at that? Thor: Love and Thunder is worse than Thor: The Dark World. That's another hot take I have today. I don't like this movie at all. Both of those Thor movies really suck. Thor: Love and Thunder, I'm pretty sure is worse. For me, I don't think it's very good. It's a tough watch. Black Panther. I'm gonna get the bad stuff out of the way first, because there's a lot of good. There's a ton of good. Black Panther 1, so good. Let's talk about what sucks. And that's the green screen. The green screen does not look very good. And that is quite literally the only bad thing about this movie. Everything else is so solid and so well done. T'Challa is written so well. Michael the Killmonger is written so well. It makes such good use of the supporting characters. It makes such good use of Chadwick Boseman and his journey. If it was... Honestly, if the CGI were fixed, it would be in the best of the best. Black Panther 1 is so good. I'm going to try and run through these by franchise. I'm going to try and blitz through the rest of these here. So, we'll talk. We're just going to sort these out really quick. We're going to sort so that way I know where all of them kind of are. That's not a sequel. That's not a sequel. Oh, those are sequels. We'll talk about Wakanda Forever next. And these two? These aren't. Okay. Oh. That one there. Okay. So let's talk about Black Panther 2. Let's talk about the second Black Panther. We're just gonna sort them by franchise. It's just gonna be easier to talk about the movies in bunches at this point. Even though we've already gone through most of these guys that in their first movie, we'll just go through the second ones there. Welcome, one viewer. Welcome. We are. I want to say we're about halfway through. I think we're about halfway through right now. We've got some. We already went through my spiciest takes, but right now this is about the list we're looking at. Avengers and the Winter Soldier at the best of the best. I did not name these, by the way. I didn't name these categories. I didn't name the rows. I love you. We got first Black Panther, first Iron Man, first Guardians, Spider-Man Homecoming. I love that movie. Thor Ragnarok, Iron Man 3, Thor, The Incredible Hulk, Doctor Strange are all good to pretty good. It's a movie, just kind of a whatever, it's here. Take it or leave it. Iron Man 3, Ant-Man, Captain America the First Soldier, the First Avenger, and then Civil War. What's going on here is Avengers Age of Ultron. Single pile of trash is both Thor 2 and Thor 4, and I don't remember Guardians Volume 2 enough to say whether I've got an opinion on it or not. Because I genuinely don't remember that movie very well. Um, Even though I think I watched it last year. I watched it when Guardians 3 came. I think that was last year. Yeah. Um, Guardians 2 is a take or leave the movie. Wakanda Forever. What do I want to say about this movie? I almost want to say they tried too hard to figure out how they were going to replace Chadwick Boseman. Except the way they did it is so good that I really can't say that we're trying to replace him. But this is such a good movie to honor him. It does so well. It does so well. I like this one. Both Black Panther movies do something really special. And that's that they're so unique in what they do and how they are and how they present. I don't really entirely care for Namor, but he serves a really good purpose in this plot. There's bits and pieces of Wakanda Forever that are kind of like, I don't know about that and I don't know about this. For the most part, this movie does really well to set things up, to get the plot moving, to tackle. And that was one of the things I was kind of worried walking into this movie is, are they going to tackle the death of Chadwick Boseman in anything meaningful? And they absolutely did. And from the very first second of the movie playing with that Marvel logo, I knew this was going to be a very special movie. Wakanda Forever is so good. Such a lot of fun. It's a little rough around the edges in terms of visuals, and Shuri as Black Panther is kind of a take it or leave it for me. But by the end of the movie, I was a big fan of her journey and her legacy and where she kind of goes with it. This movie thrives on being emotional, of kind of running through these running these characters through the loss of T'Challa. Here's what we're gonna do. And so Black Panther 2 does that really well. Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. So if you take them as a full 5-hour movie, they're spectacular. Very, very, very well done. But if you break them apart, you do it in half, Avengers Infinity War is absolutely better than Avengers Endgame. Bar none. Bar none. But if it wasn't for what Avengers Infinity War set up, and everything that this whole first 3 phases of the MCU set up, Avengers and Endgame never works. If you take Avengers Endgame for anything other than an absolute celebration of 10 years of filmmaking, I think you're looking at the movie wrong. I genuinely think that if you're looking at it from any other lens than that, you're not taking Endgame for what it should be. But let's move back for a little bit, right? Let's talk about Infinity War. Stakes. That is all this movie is, and I love it. I love that it's stakes. I love the fact that they lose. I like the fact that Thanos is the main character. Is he right in his actions? Absolutely not. Thanos was not right. However, Infinity War does a really good job at taking this ensemble of every single character that we've met for the past 10 years and say, we're going to give them all at least one moment. We're all going to give them something to do. But this is Thanos' movie. He is framed and shot as though he's the main character, which he is. He is the main character in this film. and it makes a lot of sense. If you think of the Avengers as the antagonists of this movie, it works really well. It's really good. I will forever champion this movie. I like the way it ends. I like the fact that when they end it, it is very melancholic. It's a melancholic movie. He sits the sunset, he did a job well done, and that's the end of it. And there you go. I don't know if Gamora needed to die. I think that was a little pulled out of nowhere. That's my thoughts. But that's how I feel about Avengers Infinity War, is that there. But I like Thanos as a character an awful lot. I think as an adaptation, he's really silly because he's not accurate in the slightest. But he works. And he works. And he works well for this movie, and I give a lot of credit to that. If he was trying to impress death, this interpretation would never work. For how grounded they've let the MCU kind of become, for him to be worried more about his people starving makes a lot more sense than him trying to court death, because we've never seen death. We don't know him trying to court. I mean, we have now, but not before Endgame. We didn't see that before Endgame. That's important, right? So that's the first part of it. Infinity War isn't the best. There's so much good stuff in this movie. Endgame is pretty good. As a movie, it leaves a lot to be desired. It doesn't do a whole lot for its its runtime of damn near 3 hours. Jesus, man. You couldn't ask for a longer runtime from a Marvel movie. That's a long time to be sitting down. As a celebration of everything that they had built to this moment. This is the greatest celebration you could have possibly asked for. This movie does so well at celebrating these characters and what they are and what Marvel has succeeded in doing. Because in 2008, Marvel was bankrupt. And here they are, setting records that only they could break at this point. That's what this movie means. That's what this movie is a celebration and a thank you. And that's why they set it as them writing signatures on the credits and stuff. Like, this is the culmination. I don't blame anyone for saying that it should have stopped here. But also, I do blame you because it's a celebration, not a goodbye. This is filmed as, we're really proud of where this is and what this has done. And they should be. Kevin Feige and all the people that put this together should be proud of Endgame. It's that good. It is that good. They should be proud of what they've managed to accomplish there. Endgame is that celebration. It is that thank you. This is not possible without these people in this entire lineup. Chris Evans made it work. Robert Downey Jr. made it work. Chris Hemsworth made it work. This is a celebratory movie of everything they've achieved. But let's talk about the story, because the story is a whole different subject. Right. Them defeating a Thanos hits so much less than defeating Thanos. That is the worst part about this movie. I think if they had gotten their victory over the Thanos of their own timeline, that would have been better than this one. I think they were worried about needing to explain why Thanos didn't, cover up his trail. And I get that, but also it's a comic book movie. You don't need to worry about that too much, right? So that's kind of the first part. Like I said, I mean, you can pick this movie apart a livelong day. There's like a 3-hour video of why Avengers Endgame is actually bad, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's bad. I'm going to tell you it's a celebration. I'm going to tell you that it is a work of art that is very proud of what Marvel had been able to do for 10 years. Were there some slip-ups? Yeah. Age of Ultron wasn't very good. Thor: Dark World wasn't very good. But aside from that, it's really solid all the way through. As a celebration of it, Endgame does really well at that. Endgame does really well at celebrating what Marvel had become by that point. Of this is the climax of our story, and we've made it. This is fantastic. Doomsday's not going to do that. Secret Wars is not going to be as celebratory as Endgame, just straight up. That's lightning in a bottle. You're never going to do that again with this timeline of characters. These last couple phases have been too convoluted to be able to make it feel so, we've made it. We're not going to have that we made it moment, That's the tough part there. But I think we're gonna end it here for now. We'll go through the rest of the phases after. I didn't expect this to take an hour 42 for just the first 3 phases. Also didn't expect my cat to be crawling all up on me. So, alrighty guys, take it easy. Happy Black Friday. I hope you all got your shopping done.